Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about The Last of Us Season 2. Yeah, so the season wrapped up not that long ago. I was a little behind on the finale, but I did watch it, and I kind of want to give some of my thoughts on the season. I might end up going back to do a Season 1 review just because, why not? But for now, we are focusing on Last of Us Season 2. And in case you are wondering, for me personally, because you're probably wondering if I played the game or not, but as you can tell by what I'm playing right now, you can kind of see that I did play through the games. But I was very late to the party when it came to the games. I didn't play part 1 when it came out. I didn't play part 2 when it came out. I didn't even watch season 1 of the show when it came out. I believe it was the end of last year that I binged. I played part 1, then I watched season 1, and then I finished playing part 2, which took me into this year, just in time for Last of Us Season 2. So I have played both games once. I kind of sort of know what the games are like. So that is my experience with it, and my personal and how I feel about the games is I really like the games. I think part 1 and part 2 are really good. I think part 1 is a fantastic game, and I think part 2 is still not quite as good, but still really good. And I also have viewed it as it really is a tragedy because of how dark, depressing, and it really doesn't have that happy of an ending. I have viewed it as an amazing tragedy. So when I got into the show, I loved season 1. And now we have season 2. I'm gonna try my best to avoid spoilers for what's gonna happen next, because technically I do know what's gonna happen next with playing the game. But season 1 is only part of the game, not the whole game. So we're gonna try to avoid spoilers until close to the end of the video. So those of you who have played the game or don't care about spoilers, well, we can discuss. Because I feel like season 2, I have some mixed feelings on, because on the one hand, I do really like it. On the other hand, there's some things I have issues with. Alright, so let's get started with, first of all, the show is beautiful. The cinematography in the show is gorgeous. There are some absolutely beautiful shots in almost every episode that I would frame and hang up somewhere if I could, because it's just that beautiful. Which, I mean, the cinematography in these games is beautiful as well, so... But it was just beautiful. And then, just something I wanted to mention first off the top. But also, let's talk about the casting characters quick, because I know there's some controversy with some of the casting. And I will say this. Let's start with Bella Ramsey. Ellie. No, she doesn't look at all like Ellie right here in the game. Not really. But that doesn't matter, because I think she does do an amazing job portraying the character. I do have the small issue where she still looks the same age as in season 1, and season 2 is supposed to be 5 years later. She's supposed to be older, tougher, a bit more violent, and it's harder to buy into that, I feel, just because she does look the same. That's not necessarily that really doesn't have anything to do with her acting. It's just just how she looks, and that's something although I feel like they could have use CGI or makeup to age her up a little, maybe. But, whatever. And also, she has amazing chemistry with Isabella Merced. Incredible chemistry. And speaking of Isabella Merced and her character of Dina... I forget if I go down here, sorry. I'm just playing through a random chapter. I really like the atmosphere of the aquarium, so that's why I came here. Anyway, like I was saying, I really like her portrayal of Dina. Dina in the game is a character I liked. I liked her character and all that, but she was never one of my favorite characters. This show, they make Dina one of my favorite characters. I think they did such an amazing job at writing Dina, as well as Isabella portraying Dina. I don't know how, but to me, this is one thing that the show has over the game. I think Dina is way better in the show than she is in the game. And that's coming for someone who did like Dina in the game. So, but I just thought that was kind of crazy. That's I like Dina, but now Dina's top tier Last of Us characters. Also, and since we're talking about characters, I want to talk about some other characters. Joel, played by Pedro Pascal. First of all, Pedro does an amazing job as Joel here. There's, especially in the flashback scene, that was just awesome and like heart wrenching. He does a great job, and Joel is a pretty likable character, even if he does some very questionable things. But I also think it helps that Pedro is playing him, because at least for me, Pedro Pascal is very likable. So I just can't help but like Joel in this show. Like, I think that is something awesome that the show could have over the game, is I think he's even more likable in the show just because it is Pedro Pascal. So that helps. I also really like Tommy and Jesse, two other characters who are in this game. I think they were greatly cast as well. They're a whole lot of fun. I feel like we can't speak much of Abby, because Abby doesn't actually appeal much in the season, so I feel like I can't really speak much on it. I think the actress who plays her, I think Caitlin Dever is her name, does a good job with what we've seen, but we haven't seen enough of her yet. My personal opinion. So I really like the characters. But I will say there's some pacing problems, I think, with the show. I mean, I think the game itself has some pacing problems, but the show also has some. But to dive into that, really, I think we have to dive into spoilers now. So that was kind of like the bare minimum I could tell you without spoilers for the season. Like I said before, I will keep what happens after the season finale in the game. I will not tell you until even later in the video. But if you're someone who has not seen the season yet, and you want to, I would say click away now and come back after you've seen it. So quickly, let's dive into these spoilers here, where the show, it's a revenge story. This is a revenge story, because we have Abby's father is killed by Joel in the ending events of season 1. And because of that, she and her crew go off on a revenge tour and take out Joel, torturing him, and before finally killing him right in front of Abby. Abby now also has that vengeance within her, and her and Dina are now on this quest to find and kill Abby, killing some of Abby's friends in the process. This is one of the things that I will say I think the game does do much better. Is for some reason, I don't fully know why, but I'm able to get behind Ellie way more in the game than I am in the show. In the game, Joel dies, and I'm just like, heck yeah, let's go kill Abby. What the heck was that all about? I don't care what Joel did to you. Let's go kill her. And I don't know why. I think it's a mix of, one, the pacing, and two, video games have that advantage where you're not just watching the character in a video game, you are that character. You are playing this character. In The Last of Us Part 2 video game, I don't really need a hint, game. I'm just talking. Sorry. Yeah, I know, game. I know. I'm just talking. Thanks for the help, though. Like I was saying, sorry. In the show, I'm watching Ellie lose someone, and I'm watching her go on this quest to get revenge. But when you're playing The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, you are Ellie. I am Ellie. So I'm the one who's watching Joel get killed in front of me, and I'm the one going on this quest to take out Abby and get revenge. And I think that's just an advantage that video games have over movies sometimes, is that you connect to the character more, because your actions as a character can affect the character in the story. Now, it's not a choice-based game, so it's not to that extent. But still, like whenever you kill people, you're the one killing people. I'm not watching Abby kill these people. I'm pushing the button to make it happen. And I also think that's one of the reasons why I think the pacing of the video game is a bit better with her vengeance storyline, is because it is a video game. We need our video game isms. So with our video game isms, we have to have encounters. We have to have stealth and combat sections. And because of that, we have sections where we have to kill a whole bunch of bad guys. Why? Because it's a video game. But that also adds to her vengeance storyline, especially because the game is M-rated, and they use that M rating even when you're not watching cutscenes. So when you kill these bad guys, it's not just like clean, it's like brutal and violent. So because of it being a video game and them not hesitating on the violence, as Ellie, we are killing a whole lot of people. We're killing almost full armies just to get to Abby. But in the show, Ellie doesn't really kill a whole lot of people, and I think that's part of the reason why another one of the reasons why we can't quite get behind Ellie, I feel, is we're not feeling her rage as much as we are in the game. In the game, once Joel dies, although she does have moments, she has comedic moments, she has emotional moments, but but no matter what, she always has that rage. And every time we are in a combat situation, we see it come out, we see it take over, we see her brutally murder these guys. Wolves, scars, seraphites, whatever they're called, who infected, even though there's not a whole lot of them in part 2. At least it didn't seem, okay, there is, but they're not as big in the story. But because of that, it's easier to get behind Ellie's violent story than it is in the show. Because in the show, I think she kills a total of 4, technically 4 because of Mel being pregnant, but 4 people in the show. And to me, it's just like, well, did we have to do that? Which is weird because in the game, I'm like, yeah, let's kill everyone. So it's kind of like, so I do think it has a major pacing issue with that. And I have that issue where the video game, I think, has a pacing issue where it's way too long. It's way longer than it needs to me. I think the video game could have been shorter. Which is funny because I think Season 2 of The Last of Us could have been longer, despite the fact that it's not even the entire game. Because it goes up to maybe the middle-ish part where it ends with that cliffhanger where Ellie and Abby finally, for the first time since Joel's death, face to face. Abby makes me hate her even more by killing off Jesse, a character I really liked. And in the video game, it cuts to black. It goes back to Seattle day 1, and now we get to play way too many hours as Abby to see what she was doing throughout the 3 days we were in Seattle. And that's looking like it's going to be in the show. I don't think that's a spoiler because it kind of makes it obvious. But like in the show, Season 1 ended with that confrontation, teasing us, showing us that Season 3 will be Abby's side of the story. So there's that. And they said about maybe this will take us into a Season 4, which is still based on the same game. I can see where that's... I think I can see where that's going, because there's a section in the game after we catch up back to their face-off, and I think that could be Season 4. But like I was saying, I think we rushed through Season 2 to get to this point a bit too quickly. And I might sound like a very dark person, but like I don't think enough people died for me to get behind this journey. That's extremely dark, I know, and I'm sorry. But because of how this dark journey is, it feels a bit harder to get behind it because of it just feels like, well, I don't know. It doesn't feel. I don't feel an urgency like I did in the game. In the game, I desperately wanted to get to Abby so we can have our encounter with her. In the show, or in the game, it feels like we're trying to get to Abby quickly because we're feeling this vengeance. We got to get it out. In the show, there doesn't feel any urgency. I feel like they're a bit too jokey, a bit too funny with things where the characters don't feel like they're on a vengeance quest like they should be. And I hope I'm making sense too. I feel like it's hard for me to explain my feelings on why I think this season was rushed, despite the fact that I do think that the season I think is good. But that's my main issue with it, is this season specifically was too rushed. It could have been more episodes, and which is funny because I know people who are like, well, we gotta stop this 6-episode stuff. We have to go back to 20 episodes. I personally don't like saying the amount of episodes, at least until I've seen the show, because to me, I don't care how many episodes, tell the story, and that's in how many episodes you need. There are some shows you only need like 6-7 episodes to tell the story, and any more than that where you're just giving me filler that I don't care about. However, there are some stories that are just so big we need 20 episodes or more to tell the story. Otherwise, things will be rushed and it will just be unnecessary. That's just how I feel about some with the episode runs. But normally I'm like, well, we have to see the episode length. For me, this season, even ending at the same spot it did end at, I'm not saying we had to go past that, but we still needed more episodes. Because we needed to go into it more. Ah, that's scary. We needed to go into it more. And, oh, why did that jump scare me? I knew, So, I fell out of the vent, and then there was an encounter that I did cut out, because I don't know if I really want that in a review. So, I mean, I could have keep, and maybe I'll keep it, I don't know, but probably not. Ooh, look, blood. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm gonna have to do some cutting, because I think I'm getting close to the encounter here. Maybe I picked a bad spot. I should have stayed outside. I think the best way to explain my issue with the pacing is that in the show, it kind of feels like Ellie jumps on her vengeance scale from a 1 in episodes 1 through 6 to a 11. And in the game, we gradually see her go on that scale from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and it keeps ramping up as we go through the game, unlike in the show where we just jump from 1 to 11. Hopefully that makes sense. Now to looking at some of my other notes. So, like, one of these things, I like some of that added character development we got for certain characters. Like, even Seth, the character who was a jerk to Ellie and Dina, gets some extra character development that I thought was really nice, and that was cool to see. I also personally liked how they first introduced the Scars in, I believe it was episode 3. I think that was a really good, nice way to introduce them. There's also, so let's take the Take on Me scene where Ellie sings Take on Me with the guitar to Dina in the game is such an awesome scene, which is missable, which sucks. I feel like that should have been a required scene. And they bring that to life in the show, and I think they do a pretty great job of it. And it was really beautiful, and their acting in this, like I said, each of them are said, just like starting to cry and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. What I thought was great. There are some scenes in this show that I think have a whole lot of tension, which is like done really well. Like if we go back to the beginning of the season, I think it's episode 2. First of all, and there's a lot of tension with the Battle of Jackson happening, which was just done really well, and it was really cool to see all this action and the Jackson fighting off the infected was so cool to see. But there's also this tense moment when we cut over to Joel and Dina saving Abby from the infected. Abby running, that iconic scene where she's running on the other side of the fence collapses, and now she has to start crawling as the infected keep trying to get to her. There's a couple gross moments in this show that just made me like, oh, I can't watch that. Nope, looking away. What the one scene is during this when the infected is pushing his hands through the gate. Oh man, that made me. I could not watch that. That made me have to look away. Oof, I don't know why. I can't believe that. Anyway. Oh man, trying to move on from that now. Speaking of Dina and and Joel, I also like how they added a dynamic between them where you could tell that Dina really was kind of like another daughter to Joel, and Joel was kind of like another father to Dina. So I thought that was done really well also. So that was really cool. And that was a change that I really liked seeing. Now let's talk about episode 6 real fast, which might be my favorite episode in the season. This being the flashback episode, I really enjoyed it. It starts off with this flashback with Joel as a kid protecting Tommy from getting in trouble from his cop father, which is a really nice pleasant change to the game, I feel, because we don't see anything of Joel's childhood in any of the games. So I thought it was really cool to see him as a kid and a bit of his upbringing, and we get this emotional moment where we see that his father isn't the best father, but he also does love his sons, even if he's not very good at showing it. So, and he gives this line where he says, when he's explaining what he has done as father, and he said, one day you'll become a father, and he goes, when you have your own, I hope you do a bit better than me. That hit, but don't worry, it gets more emotional when we get to the end of this episode. Ooh, look, bullets. We get to go through a bunch of these flashbacks, which are just heartwarming, really enjoyable flashbacks with which are stripped straight from the game, which might be why they're so good and one of my favorite episodes. Because of the fact that they do draw from the flashbacks in the game, where Joel finds this museum and takes Ellie there, shows her a dinosaur statue that she loves, and then we get to see some space stuff that she wanted to be an astronaut and go to space. She gets to see some of this stuff. He gives her this birthday present where he finds a tape of a cassette of from the launch of one of the Apollos. I forget which one, but he gets one of those. She puts on a space helmet from the museum. They get into the space shuttle. She listens to it. She's able to imagine herself being launched into space. It was just a beautiful moment. We got other flashbacks too, like with Joel giving Ellie the guitar and singing Future Days, I think it is. I'm trying not to go through this because I'm pretty sure that will progress the story and we get some intense cutscenes. But then we also get to see this added backstory that was in the game about Eugene, which I thought was a nice addition to the show as well. With Joel finding Eugene already bitten, Eugene says he had 30 minutes before he changes, and he wants to go back to see his wife. Joel tells him and Ellie that he's going to grant him that, but he doesn't. He takes him to the river and takes him out. So that was that. I thought it was a nice added thing, which confirms Ellie's suspicions about him lying to her. We do get the scene on the porch, but they changed it a bit, where originally Joel tells Ellie what happened at the end of the events of season 1, aka part 1, in a different flashback. And this one he tells her on the porch about how he killed all these fireflies to save her. It's really well done. It's so emotional. Like I said before, Pedro Pascal's acting in the scene is just heart-wrenching, and it's so well done. Even Bella Ramsey's acting in the scene was so good, and it was emotional. And then Joel delivers the line that is what really hit me, because he says to Ellie, he goes, "Well, one day you'll probably have a kid," and he goes, when you have your own, I hope you do a bit better than me." And that hit kind of hard. That was like, oof, bringing that line back around. That was really good. It's one of the reasons why I like this episode the most. That was done really, really well. So I think I covered the. Ooh, look, yeah. See, this is where the thing happens. I think that is the majority of things I have to say about the show. Okay, we're now in the theater. I just cut out a section, that story section of the game, because it's intense. But also, we don't really need. It's harder for me to talk over a cutscene, so that's also the main reason why I cut that out. But still, so I think now I can just tell you that now I'm gonna dive into some next game spoilers, because I want to talk about what's to come based on what we played through in the game. So if you have not played this video game, I would suggest clicking off, and you can come back maybe after Season 3 concludes, or maybe play the game before the next season, and then you can come back after you finish the game. I would definitely recommend playing both games if you can. It can be time consuming, especially part 2. It's really long. But if you have the time, I would say if you're okay with extremely intense stories, but if you watch the show, you'll be fine with the game. So, yeah, check them out. And now let's dive into what I think is to come with The Last of Us Season 3 because of playing The Last of Us Part 2 all the way through. That being, so like I said before, we ended with Abby's point of view, which is, I think, actually the scene we're coming up on, if I progress the story enough, is the scene that the season ended with. And the one guy in the interview, I think Neil Druckmann, it was who said it, that they need to break game 2 into 3 seasons, meaning it would be seasons 2, 3, and 4, not just 2 and 3 like we originally thought. And I was right. I predicted that season 2 would end with their confrontation, and then season 3 would be all about Abby. That's where we're going. I think also that season 4, I think season 3 will end the exact same way as season 2. I think it will end with the confrontation between Abby and Ellie, this time from Abby's perspective. And I think it will either, I could see it ending there and then season 4 picking up there, but I also can see it maybe getting the fight that happens between them, and then the season ends. And then we get season 4, because after we see Abby's story and we get back to where we were, they fight. Abby gets the upper hand. She's about to kill her and Dina. Lev, who's a character introduced during her storyline, stops her. She decides not to. Ellie and Dina retire onto a farm, raise their kid. But Ellie is unable to let go of the vengeance. So she goes off, even though Dina says she shouldn't, and Dina does not help her. And she goes off to try to kill Abby. We play a bit of both Abby and Ellie through this section, because Abby's trying to look for more fireflies. Finds out there are some living fireflies, but it's a trap. And we get another confrontation after Ellie actually helps Abby escape whatever this third group is. I don't even remember who they are. So apparently I shouldn't have... I didn't realize I was progressing the story, so I ended up progressing to this flashback. Yeah, that confrontation just happened. Anyway, trying to continue. I might not continue the story here because I don't want to go too far. But what was I saying before? Oh yeah, I'll explain what happened next. They have another face-off, an even more violent face-off where they're a bit more evenly matched, because Abby is very hurt and beat down and tired and hungry. So it is a bit more of an even fight, and Ellie's about to kill her and then decides not to, which I also had mixed feelings about, because part of me was like, oh, I get it, I get the moral of the story, we're ending the circle of violence, but also we killed so many people to get here. Literally almost everybody died, either trying to help us kill Abby, or because we were killing them because we were trying to get to Abby. So it kind of feels messed up that we killed a lot of people died just for us not to kill Abby, the main reason why we were going on this adventure. But I also get it, ending the circle of violence, because if we were to kill if we were to have killed Abby, Lev probably would have to hunted Ellie, and then Lev probably would have killed Ellie, and then some loved one like Dina maybe would have tried to kill Lev, and then some loved one of Lev, and the circle just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, and violence ensues. Although technically, if Ellie just wanted to go full on villain, which you could argue that she already did, she could have just killed Lev there, and boom. I'm just saying, putting that out there, that could have happened also. Because the only person Abby had left was Lev, so, if you take out Abby like you plan to, and then you take out Lev, no one's going to want revenge on you. Anyway, maybe I am a very dark person. Whoops. But, I'm just saying. Anyway, I could see that back half of the game being Season 4, and then that could be how the season ends, with Ellie choosing not to kill Abby, and then that would be the end of the show. Well, maybe I could see maybe trying to do a Season 5 with something original that's not from the game, maybe. But, I don't need a hint. Yeah, I know. I'm staying here on purpose. I get it. Anyway, I've been talking a bit longer than I should have. But yeah, so overall, I really like the Season 2. Although, also, I want to say this. I don't understand why they're not filming Seasons 2, 3, and 4. Well, I guess 4 is a greenlit, but 2 and 3, back to back. Because I think it's absolutely terrible if we end up waiting another 2 to 3 years for Season 2. Because of the fact that, especially for people who haven't played the games, the fact that you're leaving people on such a huge cliffhanger for 2 to 3 years, to me, is just crazy. That should not be happening. It should be a year gap. When this started in April of 2025, so Season 3 should come out April 2026, and Season 4 should come out April 2027 at maximum, in my personal opinion, because it just feels cruel to make people wait 2 to 3 years for each season when it's not even a complete story yet. We only saw part of the story in Season 2. We didn't see the whole story. So to me, that's well, come on, guys. But, that's how streaming shows work nowadays. Gotta wait 6 years just for the next season, even if the story isn't complete yet. Anyway, sorry. That's just saying. Yeah, like I said, I really like the season. It is weaker than Season 1. Season 1, I actually thought did a surprisingly great... the Season 1 pacing, I thought was amazingly done. So it's a shame that the pacing in this season was not done very well. So kind of disappointing when it comes to stuff that was cut out. But also, it's still enjoyable. I like, so far, I'm liking the video game more than the video game part 2 more than Season 2. And I do like Season 1 more than Season 2. But I'm not going to say season 2 is bad. I do think season 2 is good. Just kind of disappointing because it didn't live up to what it could have been, if that makes sense. And that's just because of the pacing and what they ended up cutting out. But that's also might be just because I played the game. If I went into the show without playing the game, I could have completely different thoughts. I could think that the pacing was better. But with having played the game, to me, it just feels like they cut out a bit too much and the pacing was off. But yeah. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2. Maybe I'll have to go back and review Last of Us Season 1. Maybe I'll even give the video games Part 1 and Part 2 their own reviews as well. But yeah, and I'll hopefully be reviewing Season 3 whenever that comes out, whether it's 2026 next year or it's in 12 years. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, please hit like. I mean, if you stuck around to this long, you obviously like this video, right? You obviously like my reviews. So I would just say hit that like button and subscribe for more. Because if you're still here, you like it. Whether you don't want to admit it or not, you wouldn't have stayed this long. So, ha. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.